Yo, welcome to another episode of A Chapter a Day to Keep the Devil Away. I am Tinayeshe, and this is the place where we read a chapter of the Bible together every day until we finish the entire thing. Today, we're going to be reading Leviticus chapter 6. If you haven't read Leviticus chapter 5, you should go do that. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome home. Just be with us where we are. All right, let's get into it. Sins requiring a guilt offering. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Suppose one of you sins against your associate and is unfaithful to the Lord. Suppose you cheat in a deal involving a security deposit, or you steal or commit fraud, or you find lost property and lie about it, or you lie while swearing to tell the truth, or you commit any other such sin. If you have sinned in any of these ways, you are guilty. You must give back whatever you stole, or the money you took by extortion, or the security deposit, or the lost property you found, or anything obtained by swearing falsely. You must make restitution by paying the full price plus an additional 20% to the person you have harmed. On the same day, you must present a guilt offering. As a guilt offering to the Lord, you must bring to the priest your own ram with no defects, or you may buy one of equal value. Through this process, the priest will purify you before the Lord, making you right with him, and you will be forgiven for any of these sins you have committed." Further instructions for the burnt offering. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Give Aaron and his sons the following instructions regarding the burnt offering. The burnt offering must be left on top of the altar until the next morning, and the fire on the altar must be kept burning all night. In the morning, after the priest on duty has put on his official linen clothing and linen undergarments, he must clean out the ashes of the burnt offering and put them beside the altar. Then he must take off these garments, change back into his regular clothes, and carry the ashes outside the camp to a place that is ceremonially clean. Meanwhile, the fire on the altar must be kept burning. It must never go out. Each morning, the priest will add fresh wood to the fire and arrange the burnt offering on it. He will then burn the fat of the peace offerings on it. Remember, the fire must be kept burning on the altar at all times. It must never go out." Further instructions for the grain offering. These are the instructions regarding the grain offering. Aaron's sons must present this offering to the Lord in front of the altar. The priest on duty will take from the grain offering a handful of the choice flour moistened with olive oil. Together with all the frankincense, he will burn the representative portion on the altar as a pleasing aroma to the Lord. Aaron and his sons may eat the rest of the flour, but it must be baked without yeast and eaten in a sacred place within the courtyard of the tabernacle. Remember, it must never be prepared with yeast. I have given it to the priests as their share of the special gifts presented to me. Like the sin offering and the guilt offering, it is most holy. Any of Aaron's male descendants may eat from the special gifts presented to the Lord. This is their permanent right from generation to generation. Anyone or anything that touches these offerings will become holy. Procedures for the ordination offering. Then the Lord said to Moses, "On the day Aaron and his sons are anointed, they must present to the Lord the standard grain offering of 2 quarts of choice flour, half to be offered in the morning and half to be offered in the evening. It must be carefully mixed with olive oil and cooked on a griddle." Then slice this grain offering and present it as a pleasing aroma to the Lord. In each generation, the high priest, who succeeds Aaron, must prepare the same offering. It belongs to the Lord and must be burned up completely. This is a permanent law. All such grain offerings of a priest must be burned up entirely. None of it may be eaten. Further instructions for the sin offering. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Give Aaron and his sons the following instructions regarding the sin offering. The animal given as an offering for sin is a most holy offering, and it must be slaughtered in the Lord's presence at the place where the burnt offerings are slaughtered. The priest who offers the sacrifice as a sin offering must eat his portion in a sacred place within the courtyard of the tabernacle. Anyone or anything that touches the sacrificial meat will become holy. If any of the sacrificial blood spatters on a person's clothing, The soiled garment must be washed in a sacred place. If a clay pot is used to boil the sacrificial meat, it must then be broken. If a bronze pot is used, it must be scoured and thoroughly rinsed with water. Any male from a priest's family may eat from this offering. It is most holy. But the offering for sin may not be eaten if its blood was brought into the tabernacle as an offering for purification in the holy place. It must be completely burned with fire. Takeaways from this chapter. I don't really have a ton. Lots of instructions. I think what I'm learning is in these chapters, like the holiness of the Lord. God is doing a lot to ensure that the people of Israel can stay in communion with him. And I think that's the thing I'm having to remember in all of this, is that this isn't just a bunch of rules to keep them on the straight and narrow. These are specifically rules and procedures that allow them to be in right relationship with the Lord, that allow them to be in the beautiful communion with the Lord that they desire and that the Lord desires to have with them. And so fellowship with the Lord in this instance, in this time, requires a lot of sacrifice. It requires a lot of burnt offerings and peace offerings and sin offerings for known and unknown sins, because that's what it takes in order to be in communion with God. There must be a consequence for sin, and often that consequence, every time, that consequence is death. And so what we are seeing is all of the work, all of the things that have to be done in order for them to be made clean again. And as I read this, I look forward to the finished, one and done sacrifice of the Lamb, Jesus, that made us clean now, then, and forevermore. If we choose to receive that gift of love, that peace offering, that pleasing aroma to the Lord. And so that's all I've got for today. I'm thankful that this isn't the reality that we have to live in now, in terms of having to do all of these things in order to become right with God again, to have that proper communion with him. But at the end of the day, like, we are to abstain from sin, and we are to resist temptation, because that is the impact that it has on us, is that it draws us further away from him. And God is always the one reaching out to us, hoping that we will choose communion with the King. They will choose safety and peace, and that in our communion with the Lord, in our communion with God, we would experience that sweetness so greatly that we would never want to leave. And so hopefully as we do this together, there will be moments of communion, moments of sweetness that remind you that there's no better place than right here with the King. All right, I love y'all. Peace.